we found a fan or a follower. He said, I'm managing e-commerce supply chain and I have a team here.
I started working on e-commerce for, you can say, for the last 3 years. So there I got my hands on like working with one of the biggest brand that is a US company actually, and from there I got that insight that there's a big gap in the supply chain industry. I am now managing around, you can say, 20 plus brands that are having, you can say, a monthly revenue of close to 10 million per month.
Very good.
And with, you can say, 1,000 plus SKUs.
This video is brought to you by us, SCMDOJO. We provide awesome courses, guides, best practices for supply chain community. Hi folks, welcome to one more episode of Supply Chain Show. As you know, we bring something innovative, something interesting, and today we got something very interesting about e-commerce, but a little bit of history, how I found my young guest here. We did an event 3 days ago, first meetup in Karachi, Pakistan, where we want to meet with the leaders, create awareness of supply chain, change some mindset, understand challenges and understand opportunities, because Pakistan is a growing market with 220 million people, which makes it the fifth biggest country in the world with a lot of exports of textile, agriculture and few other bits and pieces, right? So this guy named Haseeb, he came to see me and he said, I was just going to upstairs. He said, I follow you on YouTube, I follow your blog, etc. And nice to meet you. I was like, finally we found a fan or a follower, which I didn't knew before. Anyway, so asking a question, he said, I'm managing e-commerce supply chain and I have a team here, which got me very, very interested that how this young person sitting here managing the supply chain of one of the biggest brands in the world, right? And so he has got some very, very interesting story to tell us, right? Ahsan, how are you?
I'm doing all good.
Good. Sorry, Haseeb Ahsan is full name.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Haseeb?
I'm doing all good.
Very right. So, quick introduction. Tell us about yourself to the people.
Yeah, so basically I'm a mechanical engineering graduate, and I started working on e-commerce for, you can say, for the last 3 years. I'm working in this domain, and growing in this domain, I found that there is like a big lack in the supply chain part of managing for e-commerce specifically. So there I got my hands on like working with one of the biggest brand that is a US company actually, and from there I got that insight that there's a big gap in the supply chain industry. So from there I started working on improving systems around supply chain and working specifically in this niche. Like I am now managing around, you can say, 20 plus brands that are having, you can say, a monthly revenue of close to 10 million per month.
Very good.
And with, you can say, 1,000 plus SKUs.
So revenue of not you, the company, right?
Yeah, the company actually.
So otherwise people don't think you're super rich, right?
Yeah, no. I am providing supply chain services to manage their end-to-end operations, right, and to include automation in their processes.
Great. So let's start understand more. So I think I like your tagline. You help e-commerce supply chain. That's what you do, right?
Yeah.
So you're e-commerce seller to manage the supply chain. Okay.
Yeah.
So how you do it? So explain that. Let's go one by step, maybe a bit simply. How you do that?
So actually, when it comes to e-commerce, the thing is it is different from the conventional supply chain. So you have to deal with some parts of the supply chain like inventory management, and in some parts where we have to integrate some tools with warehouse management systems and stuff like that, and to manage the sourcing for our new products, finding new suppliers. So these are some of the areas. Like you don't have to deal with managing the WMS actually, because we have third-party logistics and we have collaborations with them. So coming in short, the main problem that e-commerce seller face while selling products either on Amazon, Walmart, Shopify or any other sales channels, it is more regarding the inventory management part and demand planning, where there are some SKUs are getting out of stock, some are having more stock in the warehouses, and they are losing a lot of money there. Like if you go out of stock, you lose a huge market share, and your competitor can come in and grab that market share, so you are losing money. So what actually we do is we create and implement those systems, sometimes through some tools or sometimes to Excel.
Right.
We improve their inventory management, and we provide them like insight how you can demand plan in a better way, how you can get out of stock on like some SKUs. You have to keep them in stock at all times.
Right.
So this is something that we do for all these companies.
So if I define what you do in 4 key processes.
Yeah.
Demand planning, inventory management, which is include the placing the purchase orders and the shipping of it.
Yeah.
Sourcing to a certain extent.
Done.
And the fulfillment part. at the end.
Exactly,
to the
order
3PL.
fulfillment.
Right.
Exactly.
So 4 key processes you manage for any e-commerce brands who is trying to sell on Amazon, Walmart, or any other e-commerce channel, could be their website, which is omni-channel strategy.
Yeah.
Great, very good. What I'm very intrigued is how you get into this. I mean, how? I mean, you are an only young fella, right? I mean, he's like 24, 25,
Yeah.
right? You just graduated a few years ago. You're a mechanical engineer, as you said. So how you get into this business?
Yeah, so when I started back in 2020, I started learning about how to build brands on Amazon first or other sales channels. So I started learning about Amazon, and from there I got my hands I was working on Upwork. Actually, there a company approached me for their supply chain department. So that company, just to get a little bit more introduction about that, they are an Amazon aggregator. They acquire the brands and then they combine them under one system, and then they manage them under different departments like brand management and supply chain and all other departments.
Right.
So there I was hired in a supply chain department, and from there I started learning about how supply chain can be managed efficiently in e-commerce brands. So from there, I started working with that company, got insights, and at the same time I was approached by another company that is an aggregator also, and they hired me. One more thing to mention here. So when I was working with that company, what I did, I started training people around me in this specific niche. So there are many experts for e-commerce, but there is no one for e-commerce plus supply chain. So I started building a team around that, and when I was approached by another company, I was in that position to offer them, kind of an agency service providing.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I started working with their founders.
Mm-hmm.
It is a German company,
Mm-hmm.
and I started implementing and creating systems around their brands.
Quick question, short answer if you could. But what kind of service you have created on Upwork which led that company to ask you to do what you did basically? So what was what service you have created?
So in general, the service that I created was more related to the brand management part.
Right.
Yeah, but from there they just they were just attracted by my e-commerce knowledge.
Right.
So they hired me into, and also I have a mechanical engineering background, right? So technical plus e-commerce, they got me into e-commerce.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because we at SCMDOJO are about to launch the first supply chain operations marketplace. So I'm very interested to have you as an expert selling your services. So that's a great part. I also noticed in your website and your content you showed me that you claim about you can manage processes, and actually the world is going towards more automation.
Yeah.
Where we are talking about how we can automate things, digitalize things to basically eliminate any manual processes or digitalize or you call it kill manual processes. I'll say digitalization. You have to standardize it. That's one of my TikTok videos, YouTube videos which go viral, which is to digitalize you have to standardize, right? So I want to understand that perspective from you, right? That how you do that.
So one point to mention here, for example, when we talk about automation, we have a lot of tools, right? There are corporate sectors, they are using, you can say, Microsoft Azure or SAP and all that stuff. But when it comes to creating that automation, no one is building SOPs to follow, and they are just, they end up using Excel to manage all those parts. So what we actually did, we are in collaboration with certain companies that are targeting specific e-commerce inventory management part, and we utilize those tools to create automation around demand planning, where we can input lead times into that. We can create integration between multiple sales channels, and at the same time we can have automation with the suppliers to place those purchase orders. So sometimes the automation comes from those tools, and on the other end, when there is certain client who don't have budget for those kind of tools, we transfer that capability of the tool into Excel, and we create automations in our internal system either through Excel or Power BI, and implement that on our client accounts to manage everything efficiently.
So, but that means you need some help from the customer to standardize, right?
Yeah. So there is one thing at the founder level, you should have that mindset. For example, if we are doing this process is 1 hour, we have to convert that into either 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So that mindset is required from the founder, and then they give you that authority to create those processes.
Right? So you just mentioned about the how the founder has been helping you. So what I believe is the founder needs to help you guys out to identify the processes, right, which you are manual, right, write it down, standardize, right, and after that identify the opportunity for automation to reduce it. That makes sense. But what you do is not easy, right? So I'm sure you have come up with some challenges, right? Or a lot of challenges, because as we always have in supply chain. So give me top 2 challenges you have faced in basically establishing this business, which I think is you're doing a great job.
Yeah. So you know, when you dig down a little bit into the depth of how you can standardize the process and what are the challenges, the point is, you know, first you create that automation, and then there's another part. You have to interact within the company in multiple departments, right? So you have like you first you have to create the training environment with all the people that are involved in that process. Once we create that is the first challenge, you can say. Creating a training, first you have created a system, then you have to create a training. That is the very first challenge. You have to create SOPs, and like, you know, if you have to do this task, you have to go through this way, not through the manual way. So that training need to be implemented within the different departments like that are in collaboration with the supply chain. First, when that is done, the other part is to, you know, create a monetary check on that. On
control
daily
mechanism.
basis. So that is something very important, and these are the 2 core challenges that, you know, you can find in any company, but specifically when we are as a supply chain company dealing between multiple departments, that is, you know, our main challenges.
Yeah, but in our previous conversation you also messaged one of the challenges you're facing is finding the talent.
Yeah, so that is something that is our, you know, in a services industry, it is very important to have the right team that is trained in certain areas.
Understand supply chain.
Exactly. So from hiring point, that is the main, from growing point as a services agency from Pakistan, that is our main challenge. Because I will mention one example here. I was interviewing a candidate from Gul Ahmed Textile, that is a very big textile company here in Pakistan. And the girl was having like 4 years of supply chain experience. But the problem was, you know, in our corporate environment, they have like all high-end tools. The problem is they still work on Excel and they don't want to go towards the automation. So that is the problem. When I was interviewing her, I noticed that she was just, you know, using Excel, and their forecast mechanism was just, you know, if we are forecasting for the next year, let's multiply the last year's sales by 2. That is my forecast. So that is not the way the things works. So that is the thing, you know, there is a big gap to educate the people and to create the right mindset. Plus supply chain combined with e-commerce, that is something highly missing in the training industry.
Correct, and that's what we're going to work on. And Haseeb, you're going to use us for most of the supply chain, and hopefully we create a specific course on e-commerce or supply chain with you as well, hopefully, right? That's the aim we're going to talk about. Now, last question, right? What's your ambition? Where are you going? What's the vision? Take over the world. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I think that is something that I like to tell everybody, that, you know, supply chain is the industry which is not valued from the past. Like,
that's what our aim as SCMDOJO. We want to supply chain the most important profession.
So that is something, you know, someone will value, like in a company's marketing are valued quite high.
Sales is higher,
because they have, you know, some achievable targets to show, like this is the revenue and this is where we are going. That is something that is missing in the supply chain part. You cannot, you know, it is quite hard to, like if you are planning a strategy in a supply chain, it is hard to reflect that in terms of finances for your founder or your boss.
It's possible, but a bit difficult. Not too difficult, yes, but possible.
Yeah, it is possible, but mostly people are not giving focus.
They don't know, basically.
So that is something, you know, educating e-commerce sellers to give emphasis to the supply chain part in their business. That is something that we are doing right now, and that is, you know, we are seeing a lot of gap moving on. So that is where we are highly focusing, and to just, you know, solve the business problems in this domain for all the e-commerce sellers. That is what our long-term vision is. And currently we are working in international market, but at the same time we are seeing e-commerce growing in Pakistan. So in the future, you can say in the next 2 to 3 years, we will be working on creating services environment in Pakistan, as well as develop some products, keeping the Pakistani problems in mind. So that is what we are working towards.
Haseeb, great ambition. What you're doing is innovative, definitely needed. I think most of the people, e-commerce, you know, after COVID is one of the growing domain, and especially the growing domain in supply chain. A lot of money has been invested on the e-commerce platforms, right? What you're doing is absolutely fantastic, and we see a growth, or I see a huge amount of growth, and I'm keen to work with you on few projects, have you as an expert to sell your services as well. So we both make money. Of course, that's the whole point, right? Right. So again, thank you very much. You've been a great guest, great learning experience.
Thank you for
top
having
young
me on
man.
your
This lad gonna go very far. I can tell you this, guys, because then I can show this video and he's gonna become a billionaire. So I was the first person to interview him, right? With that said,
this is my first interview.
This is the first interview. That's good to know. I think you did a great job. Well done, buddy. And I would say, keep watching. Thank you for watching as well. So hopefully, what we're creating here at SCMDOJO, you like it. Do leave your comments. Subscribe to us as well. And I always say, keep it simple, keep it real. Ciao.